Good morning, Internet, and welcome to the Four Post to Bed with me, the Marchioness of Dorchester. That is a pen name. Real name, Sonia de la Mare, FRSA, which stands for Fellow of the Royal Society of Arts, in case you were wondering. That's because I'm an art freak, and I identify as such, and a music freak, but music is art for me. So, anyway, I'm on a bloody roll at the moment, guys, creatively. It's really weird because sometimes I go for months with no inspiration at all for writing, and then I'll start writing again. But when I'm in the thick of these zones, I consider myself to be whatever it is that I'm engaged with. So at the moment, I consider myself to be a poet because I'm writing all this poetry, but I'm not identifying as a musician, yet I've written so much music. Do you know what I mean? And it feels like you're this sort of changeling, some kind of shapeshifter, you know. But I think women are. I think we're quite good at that. I've spoken about that before. This ability to sort of adapt and to identify as different things. But of course, when you think about, you know, if you feel derogatory feelings about people identifying as, say, other genders or other races, when you think about it, if you're in the thick of it at that time, that you're asked to identify yourself as how you see yourself, that's what you're going to think, isn't it? You're going to feel like that. So, you know, I think it's not a new thing. I think this self-identifying has been something that I've certainly used and been taken a part of since I can remember, a very young child. That might be because I'm on some spectrum or other. And girls with Asperger's, they say, quite often, learn to mask. And that means you adapt and you create a mask to participate in the group that you're within, because that gets you through. So it may very well be that. And I do know when I was a very shy child, as soon as I discovered alcohol, I could act as if I was the party, you know, the life and soul of the party. But I think a lot of drunkards feel that. I don't think that's new either. And of course you are. You are when you're drinking and everybody else is drinking, and you're loud and exuberant and funny and, you know, all these things. You are the life and soul of the party. And the minute you stop drinking, you are no longer that individual. And it's very, very hard to find your space, because now you have to rely on, non-medical, unmedicated ways of, you know, attracting attention, especially if you're an artist. You need attention. You need to sell your stuff. So anyway, at the moment, I'm identifying as a poet and an illustrator, because I tell you what, yesterday I did a really full-on day of art. I've got my AI up and running, who gives me all my sketches, and then from those I do my artworks. It's the only way to use AI. I don't use AI without doing loads of work on it afterwards, because it looks crap. It looks utter shite, darlings, and I can spot it a mile off. It makes so many mistakes, and people aren't looking in and rectifying them. You need to do that. And usually it's to do with eyes, mouths, hands, and straps on clothing. They're always getting that wrong. Legs on animals, always getting that wrong. And it's because it just looks at millions of photographs and takes an average. And of course, really, when you do a beautiful illustration, you're not using an average. You're using a particular, very, very different. It's like doing a portrait of a person, not an average person. By average, I don't mean in terms of level of attractiveness. I mean the average person, you know, 2 eyes, mouth, nose. And therein lies its biggest problem, not creative at all. So also when I first got into my writing, I was using the GTP, whatever it's called, to write poems, and then thinking that's shite, and completely rewriting my own. So I will say it's a really good place to find a bit of inspiration, because it's a little springboard. Do you see what I mean? A little springboard. Also, it can give you words that rhyme, if you want to rhyme something. I tend not to do that. I mean, I rhyme, but I'm more of a ad hoc rhymer, and I like the words that I like, So I tend not to use those sort of tools, but they are really useful. Yeah. So your ChatGPT for thinking off the wall crazy, batshit crazy stuff, and your Mid-Journey or whatever it is, DALL-E or whatever it is that you're using to create banal art that you can then add, take away, Photoshop. You know, I've been really getting into sort of Photoshop techniques, although I don't use Photoshop, I use Procreate. But, you know, it's all about the layers, adding layers, taking layers away, doing just weird, crazy, crazy stuff. So yesterday I produced a couple of portraits for the grandkids. My granddaughter's birthday is very soon, so I had to do something for that. And what else did I? Oh, a couple of illustrations for poetry. So you might want to go along to my Twitter and have a look. It's all free, of course it is. And on my blog, all free, telltellerclub.com. What else have I done? I really needed a rest from the decorating. I won't lie, the decorating gave me IBS. I found it very, very stressful. Day in, day out, you know, running backwards and forwards to shops to buy props and things like that, setting up the lighting, and I really need a few days off from it. And that's what I'm going to give myself, a few days off. And what I do now is when I go in that room, because it joins onto the kitchen, I'll just do a quick little thing, you know, like move something, put something in its permanent place. I mean, I've cleared lots of furnishings out, so I have to take all that out, put it elsewhere or throw it away or sell it on Marketplace, you know. It's got to go. It can't stay in the middle of the room. And that way, it doesn't feel overwhelming. So it's really little and often. I mean really little. You know, I might put one thing in the bin. But I go in there a lot because I'm always on the coffee, you know. You know me. So, thinking about my props that I've ordered for my costume for the Freak's Kitchen, and she's completely goth. So I've ordered bats and rats and things, you know, gothic things, jewellery and stuff like that. So none of that's here yet. So I'm thinking, well, maybe I won't do my first show until then. Or I can make do with what I've got, basically. I'm a bit throaty today. I don't know if you can hear that. I may dress up and do a trailer today, but I may not. I might just do it tomorrow or the next day or the day after that. I really don't know. I want things perfect. And I've got a lot of stuff on order from China, and it takes a bloody age to get here, guys. It really does. So I've written a couple of poems today. I won't read them now. I'm saving the readings for when I'm in full makeup, because the Marchioness of Dorchester is going to do all the readings as well. So again, I want my bats and rats and things around me while I do it. So really enjoying the webcam anyway. That it's 1080 or whatever it is pixels, which is perfect. It's not too big and it's not too small. You'll get a good view from it on YouTube. I don't know what it would look like on a TV, I'm not sure, but most people, let's face it, are watching on a phone or a tablet or a desktop or a laptop. So, you know, I mean, most people, they just are. So I'm going to be reciting all of the poetry. I need a throne, though, guys. And I used to have one, and I don't have it anymore because I stopped, you know, I had it when I was a sex therapist. It kind of worked. It was a wicker peacock chair, so not too throne-like, but throny enough. Do you know what I mean? So now I need another one. So I'm not going to buy one. What I thought was I might be able to find... Hello, gorgeous. I dropped a cushion on him earlier. It fell from behind my head and tumbled down on him. He was really miserable. Come on, no cushions. Oh, look, I've got to move the cushion. There you go. Come on. So, yeah, I wonder if there's somewhere... I mean, China do all sorts of things. So I'm wondering if there's somewhere that I can buy a clip-on throne head or not one up, like a sort of Medusa head or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Just something quite radical. I mean, at the very least, I could cut out a bit of cardboard, put huge buffalo clips on it or whatever they're called, bulldog clips, and just prop it for each film. because I've got some gold chairs. So I've sort of started myself off. So yeah, I think I've talked myself into that. I think that's a really cool idea. I'll go and see what I can find on Twitter, on AliExpress, and I'll let you know how and why and when, because I know you're desperate to know all the idiosyncrasies of my crazy interior design. A few mistakes with the interior design, got to go over some things, but that's okay. It was because I was rushing stupidly. The other thing I'm going to do today is some more art. I've got a lot of art that I've discovered and it all needs framing. So I've got a bunch of frames and I'm going to try and do that today and bang some nails in. I couldn't do it yesterday. I don't like banging nails in on a Sunday. Do you know what I mean? I always feel a bit guilty because people are trying to rest from their busy weeks, you know. Nobody wants to hear a hammer crashing down on a wall, you know. So, I mean, it's just considerate, I think. Even though I can hear very loud music from time to time from the penthouse. Not my music, I mean other people's music. So there we go, such is life. It's worse in Brighton, I think. And I was a terrible neighbour when I was in Brighton. Parties all the time. I mean, I feel now for my neighbours. I mean, I couldn't have lived next to me. But when you're in the thick of it and you've got 4 teenage kids, you don't notice it. But now, because I live a life of sort of silence. Was Romeo scratching his claws on my carpet? I live a sort of vow of silence, really. I've always got my headphones on. I practice my cello with my headphones on. And I appreciate the calm, the serenity. And when I hear something outside, a screaming dog, barking dog, screaming children, revving engines, I don't tend to hear them very often, but occasionally. I always think, oh, how inconsiderate. We always think of ourselves, do we not? So pop along to my Twitter if you want to read some poetry. They're quite short poems today, and I use a sort of modern application, the sort of postmodern poetry, but not the, what was he called? The Bardinator, the Quillmatic Bardinator. I haven't done one of his for a while, but I will. Because somebody shared the Quillmatic Bardinator poem the other day. So I thought, oh, people are sharing my stuff on Twitter now. It's quite cool, isn't it? When that happens, only 1 or 2, but it is quite cool when that happens. And I think, well, I'll just put the poems up every day. Other people can share them, and your voice is spreading, isn't it? Your art is spreading, and yes, people are going to copy them. So what? It doesn't matter. I mean, we've discussed this with my artwork. You get to a point where you think, oh, just let them bloody copy it. It's not theirs. You can't own it. I mean, that's the one good thing about the internet. You will always be recorded as the first person to do anything. Okay, guys, I think that's it for now. That's enough waffle. So I've just washed my hair, which takes so long. It takes forever to dry because of all my braids. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the next hour. And then more poetry, art, and I'm working on a song as well. Finally a song. But I want to spend a few weeks on this song. I want it to be a very beautiful song, but a very interesting song with lots of really interesting vocal layering. That's my plan ahead. So, usual story, at Tellteller Club or at snob_value, the Marchioness of Dorchester, over on Twitter, iServalan.com for the more I don't know how to describe it, a bit more visual, a bit more arty, but all the writing on Tellteller Club, because you know Tellteller implies books and stuff, so but there's a lot of crossover, guys, you know there is. And I'll be back maybe later on today. I might if I've got something exciting to tell you. Take care, lots of love from the UK.